President Biden participated in two leaders' sessions at the summit, one on the African Union's Agenda 2063 plan to transform the continent over the next 50 years, and one on ensuring food security. Once again, Biden's message was of equitable development, mutual success, and U.S. investment.
Over the next 3 years, working in close cooperation with the United States Congress, we plan to commit $55 billion in Africa to advance the priorities we share and to support the Agenda 2063.
However, when asked, U.S. government officials were unable to provide a breakdown of how the figure of $55 billion was arrived at, or how the Biden administration intends to get Congress to approve that sum. The president of the African Union welcomed the U.S.'s renewed commitment to Africa, but called for Washington to end its economic sanctions on Zimbabwe and its plans to sanction other African countries via the so-called Malign Russian Activities in Africa Act, still working its way through Congress.
This bill, with its sanctions, which targets a whole continent, is the first in international relations. Africa is asking why such a bill exists, and why is Africa targeted?
At least outwardly, the U.S. has changed its tone at the summit, not publicly hectoring African nations about decisions Washington doesn't agree with. But there is still skepticism about whether anything really is different.
The problem isn't what they're saying. They're saying all the right things. The problem is they're not doing anything differently. They're still focusing more on open societies, on values, rather than on increasing investments and sort of a more concrete approach to encouraging businesses to invest in the region.
And even as the Biden administration talks of democracy and human rights, it was notable that the only African leader to get an honor guard was the Egyptian president, who oversees a government not noted for its democratic values. The U.S. sees itself as the world's indispensable nation, but there's little patience for that sort of talk here. There are simply too many other countries willing to do business with Africa who don't demand economic and political obedience. Shihab, Rattansi, Al Jazeera, Washington.